This is pretty. So that's an example. It's more forgiving to how you jump. Looks like the game that Core Design should have made instead of Angel of Darkness. Hi everyone, today we're going to be playing the cancelled Tomb Raider game, and as you can see it actually says National Treasure. We're going to get into that. So this was the original Tomb Raider anniversary game that Core Design, the original developers of Tomb Raider, were making, but this was happening around the same time that the Tomb Raider franchise got a new developer with Crystal Dynamics. So they had two competing versions of the anniversary game. They ultimately shipped the Crystal Dynamics version, and then this one was cancelled. And after all these years, January 1st, 2021, the files leaked online, so we're going to go ahead and play them. Now, first things first, I do want to give a shout out to the person who leaked the files or distributed them, and that's a blogger called Tomb of Ash. There's someone in the Tomb Raider community, they like old classic games, and they distributed the files. And you can download them from here if you want to play them. I don't provide technical support, I just followed the instructions. I did use the patch from Ghostblade, and basically I got everything working. Credit is to these people, not myself. At the end of the video, we're going to have a frank and honest conversation about why maybe this game was cancelled. So I know it's a great day for the community, and I'm sure there's a lot of people from the community who are going to watch all these videos. Just click out towards the end. So let's go ahead and jump in and get this working. As you can see, it's a bit fragile. I have to click a bunch of errors. And look at this. This is bonkers. So you have a little National Treasure logo, but you actually have Indiana Jones here. You don't have Nicolas Cage, you have Harrison Ford. Now, if you actually try to press start or anything, the mouse won't work, you have to use the keyboard. It'll actually just crash, and then Ghostblade made a patch which we'll jump into. I will go through it level by level. Once they figured out this game was going to be cancelled, they had no issues whatsoever trying to repackage this as an Indiana Jones game or a National Treasure game, as they shouldn't, because they are a business and businesses are there to do one thing: make money and employ people. So before things get personal, just remember we're talking about an intellectual property here. It cannot be offended. It is not a person, it is a franchise, it is a business. There we go, debug level. So if you try to press debug level, you actually get like a Nazi mine base, Lost Plateau, and Temple of Mosh. So this is clearly when they're trying to package the game up for an Indiana Jones to try to give this to LucasArts. So let's go ahead and load up the working version. And we're going to start off with Lara's home, and then we'll go on to some other levels. So one thing that I did learn that's not on the community forums just yet, I don't think, although it might be by now, I'm sure someone else has figured it out. But if you add in this into the run.bat file, height 1000, width 1900, basically add in the dimensions that you want for your own computer screen size, will actually open it up big, because when you first try to run this yourself, you're going to notice that the window is quite small. But if you actually load it up that way, you can actually get it to fill up the window screen. So I'm going to go ahead and use my PlayStation 1 Classic controller, which is an interesting choice, particularly for this game. And I guess I'll talk about it a bit more. And I think Lara's home is a great place to talk about the controller system. So this is Lara's home, which basically is a remaster of what they had in Tomb Raider 1. And as you can see, this is what they were going for with the redesign of Lara Croft. I can actually move the camera 360 using my keyboard. If I use J, K, L, and U, you can manipulate the camera whatever way you want. And this is what it looks like. This is the Core Design version of Lara Croft. And you can see the way she kind of animates herself a bit. It really looks like a Tomb Raider level editor game. It doesn't really look like something you'd see for the PlayStation 2 or PC. I just love seeing games and other projects in development. I think it's just incredibly fascinating to see how things evolve. So this is basically the starting point of Lara's home in the original, and then this is kind of where you're supposed to learn the moves, right? You're going to learn to jump and do a bunch of different tricks. Now, I actually did a bit of play testing because I wanted to make sure I had something to show you guys, and I actually learned a lot about her moves. R1 will actually turn her 180. So in the original games, if you press like a circle, she would full on do a tumble and turn the other direction. But the circle button in this game seems to be like to drop from ledges, because while she doesn't have auto grab, she auto hangs. So that's how that works. So the first thing you're gonna have to do is probably try get through this. If you're playing in Lara's home, it doesn't open, this is broken. But you can also swim around because this is a very much a core design version of Tomb Raider. They love to be able to like swim around levels back in the day. So if you press square, triangle, or 1, L1, or 2, L2, she'll do this. And you can basically just swim out of that section. Always freeze, I think there's supposed to be like the camera pause type of thing. Maybe she'll say something there. You can also press triangle and then she'll drop to the ground. L1 or 1 triangle, she'll drop. And then this is the main hallway that we all remember from the original Tomb Raider game. And there's no sound, by the way, just to put it out there. From what I read online, I think some levels have sound. I read that Tomb of Quaolopec and Natla's Mind has sound. The controls on this are a really interesting animal, okay? The controls on this is strange in that I don't really understand what Core Design was trying to do here. So as you can see, the game is very much still on the grid system, still based off blocks because they are trying to do a one-to-one remake, right? So that's cool, but her control system is a mix of more modern controls. Like she's still tankish, but she is a bit more fluid. But because though her controls have lost the precision, it doesn't really make much sense on the grid system. So I'll just explain that as I kind of go through it. So like, for example, you can still walk, but you can't really tap backwards anymore. You have to kind of like run back and kind of guess, which is obviously not great for a game like the original Tomb Raiders, where measuring your jumps is important. In like the 1996 version, which I am doing on my YouTube channel, if you go to the edge of, to the line and stop, this is like you jump, you grab the ledge, two squares, she'll clear it. The issue though is like it's not really very clear what you should be doing here. You can't exactly tap backwards very fast. The most you can do is walk back like this and then do your run and jump. And as you can see, even that didn't seem very precise because she won't jump at the last second. She'll kind of jump whenever. You kind of have to time her when to jump. And also she does have a bit more leeway, I think. Like that's ridiculous. She does have a tiny bit more leeway in terms of grabbing ledges. Like usually in the classics in Angel of Darkness, you had to grab them like bang on. Whereas like if we do kind of get them to the side a bit, like if you grab them from the side, damn it, I'm trying to explain a point. Okay, I'll explain to you like later. Okay, like there. Hang on, wait. Let me just, this is probably a better example. Like see the way I didn't grab it precisely head on, but she kind of auto grabbed anyway? That's kind of something that is kind of nice about this version, is that it is a bit more forgiving. But again, I just think for a game that would have come out around 2007, I just don't know if it's what the market would have necessarily wanted. Like it really does play like a really good level editor game that has like had the mods and the extra animations added in. And even then I think it'd be a bit more detailed. I think you're seeing a game that's very much designed for the PSP and not for the PC or the PlayStation 2. And I suppose I'll talk about that at the end of the video. But I love Lara's home. I mean, it's so cool to interact with and play with for sure. And it's absolutely fascinating. And that's how she controls underwater. You can also, if you press X rapidly, she'll also kind of do this to kind of swim faster. That's something she'll do. It's still very much like going backwards. That's how she did it in the classics. You press X and she'll hop out. You can still play. Now, one thing you might have noticed that she doesn't have her pistols anymore, but she has a torch. I don't think they ever intended to give her a torch. I think because you saw the National Treasure logo, this was probably around the stage they're trying to pivot who they're going to make this game for, and they're probably going to try and sell it to the National Treasure publisher of the game, or whoever owned the IP. And so that's why she has the torch. And you can also see that when I press X, her hands fire, like pistols come out of her hands. But I actually like the torch idea. Like it so wasn't put there for her character. Like it's clearly what they're just going to implement for if they got the Indiana Jones contract or if they got the National Treasure contract. There is an inventory, but it doesn't work. You can kind of see her pistols there in the far corner. and also a save crystal, but that doesn't seem to work in this build. So I can actually show you some of the new moves I think they were intending to put in the game. Let me walk you through it. So first things first is that it's basically built off of the free run engine, and you can kind of see that in her moveset. So this is a ladder, which you can obviously articulate and climb around, but you can also kind of climb more like these type of climbing frames. Or as we go over here, you know, you have something that's a bit more kind of less uniform. You can probably shimmy onto this. So you can articulate her in a lot of ways, and they definitely added in some animations. So like she can do cool tricks for sure, like no one's denying that. What makes it really interesting, I suppose, is that they're going to add in all these new moves. And for example, she can turn a corner. So I just find it interesting. I wonder how they're going to do like one-to-one of the level design, when a lot of the levels in the first Tomb Raider game, like the challenge of them is like that you can't turn a corner, so you had to go around the long way and, you know, solve a bunch of puzzles, whereas if she had this move set, you know, she could practically do everything herself. Now, one cool thing that you can do with these steps is that you can also jump over like this. So that probably would have been a game mechanic if you weren't able to crawl, that you would have been able to scale edges that way. Actually, one thing that I noticed is that they probably were planning to add this in, but you can actually skip one and jump from like two like that. You know, you can't do that going up, but going down, if you stayed at the edge, you can kind of grab it on your way down. So I do think that Core Design were definitely implementing some cool moves. I mean, there's definitely a lot there. So it's interesting. It's very interesting. And the camera does, after a lag, kind of pan to the back of her. So this is kind of just showing you how she climbs around ledges. I'm glad they changed the ledge animation. She does climb faster when there's a wall, but then this is to show off how it climbs when there is no wall underneath her. So it's more like the classic shimmy style. And then kind of have the faster one, which you see in things like Tomb Raider Legend. So obviously she can turn a corner, and then you can obviously jump up here, like it looks like so. The controls are so weird because it tries to move like Legend Lara, but it's not quite. And she does jump quite far, so I should be able to reach her from here. There we go. The camera in this, which we're going to talk about at the end of the video. We're actually going to have a talk at the end of the video, like pitching in general, pitching to a company, to a brand 101. I think we're going to have a little discussion about that at the end. And then obviously this is the pole swinging, which obviously Crystal Dynamics introduced in Tomb Raider Legend. If you press the R1 button and the L1 button, she'll do a turn for you. It might be just R1. Yeah, it's just R1, sorry. And that's how she can kind of do the pole swing. Actually, no, Tomb Raider Chronicles had it first, but they are obviously very inspired by what they did in Tomb Raider Legend. And then this is just you climbing up more of these climbing frames, just showing you kind of the different variety. Like, I like this. Like, I do like the idea that you can kind of climb from something like that and then make your way on here, and then all of a sudden she's just shimmying solo without her legs. Like, it's a very cool mechanic, and I'm probably sure like you're probably going to be able to swing over there. They just haven't implemented that. She just kind of hangs like so. So it's an interesting mechanic for sure. The way you're able to traverse around the building and the map. What was the attention for this? Oh wow. Okay, they were probably going to put another climbing frame here. Maybe they were going to do a monkey swing. Oh, here we are. Oh, that's interesting. You can kind of jump to the side. Oh, you can jump to the side. How did I? This is. I'm learning. I'm learning here. Okay. So if you're on a ledge like this, if I press the jump button, you see, guys. Are we seeing how this works? That's cool. So we're already learning some more of her new moves as we're playing through this. And she'll also jump on there. Now, can I jump up? No. She'll just hang from it like that. Cool. She's not hanging on anything. Okay, that's kind of cool. So these are some of the new moves that you can do in this area. And then as I come over to the area over here, this is actually an empty space. We're probably going to try and add in some more new moves for her here. Now you can also kind of vault onto ledges like that. If you just go over and press action, she'll climb up in the way she did in the old games, but she also does it though for the 4-click high walls. Usually, in the classics, she'd only do it for clicks 1 to 3. Or I suppose clicks 2 to 3. She can kind of just run up these ones, can't she? She can. So, yeah, cool. And I have no idea what they're going to implement here. Probably another stage. Or she cannot die, so I can put her to the very top here. Just press triangle and or1, and she'll just drop like that. I actually wonder if these textures are even high res. These look exactly like they've been ripped from just the 64 by 64 textures of the original game. It's very hard to know if the meshes are making the game look high quality, or like those textures are new on the crates, and obviously they're high res. But the ones that for the mansion themselves look pretty low res. So I have to go to Tomb Raider sources. You're getting a little tutorial here, although not guaranteed to work. And I can just paste this here. And then if I load up this again, there's a lot of coding remains here of the classic Tomb Raiders, not even Angel of Darkness, but like 1 to 5. That's cool, the way the door just shuts behind you. If I press F7, it brings up like this little debug. And if anyone's ever worked in the Tomb Raider level editor, there are like very similar, nothing really closes in here, like very similar trigger events and names that like we'd see in the classic ones. So there's actually really nothing here just yet. I'll be able to pick it up later on. But I've never played this before. This is all new to me. I've never opened the Caves file. I only opened up Croft Manor. So I'm experiencing this all for the first time. Oh wow, the doors are sealed. There's no way back. I didn't even trigger that. This is cool. So this is Caves. It's pretty much the same structure as the original. Oh wow. Oh wow, the darts actually stick to her. It's a cool idea. Not bad. It's a game designed for the PSP. It looks like a PSP game. If they did a PC version or a PS2 version, they could absolutely, like, you know, use higher resolution models. But I think you do start to see the scale of the game. Kind of, it's a smaller scale game. It's something that I think would be perfect on the PSP. And the PSP is the target platform for this. But I don't know how well it would have worked for something like a PC or a PlayStation 2. At least being able to charge full price for it. Like I think if they were charging like 20 quid for this game back in the day and not the full 60 euro that you'd get for a AAA title, they'd be onto something. Ooh, this is... Do not pick up anything. Picking up objects will crash your game. Okay, let's try that again. But yeah, that gave you an idea of what the pickup animation was gonna look like. So we're just going towards the caves here. Obviously this is where Secret 2 typically is in the original. Okay, they want you to jump up there to get it that way. The light doesn't really illuminate anything. I'm sure someone will get the guns working very soon, and that'll be very exciting for people to play with if they can get rid of the torch, because you can kind of see them working there a bit. Oh wow, did not expect that. Okay, so as you enter these different sections that close off the previous section, I wonder if there's going to be, there's supposed to be a little challenge there to stop you from getting all the secrets. If you missed them once, you can't go back. This is a new section, okay. What were they trying to do here? So what I'm seeing here is like a pot. Do we want to get up there, or do we want to dive down into that pit? What happens if we jump onto that? Slippery slides was probably going to be something that they were going to implement, but you can obviously still grab up onto this. Sorry, excuse me. Okay, but I can climb around it. So this just says decipher. To decipher it. Something about the guardian of the Path of Vilcabamba. Like, they're cute ideas for sure. As we make our way further into the cave section. So the ancient lever still appears to work. Good for you, Lara. Oh, this is nice. It really does play like a TRAE level. Oh, is that a secret? No. Whoa, she just jumped up there. Oh, she has frost coming from her breath. That's just an effect I noticed now. Yeah, unfortunately this will not illuminate in dark sections. It's hard-coded lighting. So the game will crash there. Time to reload and give that a go. So she said it was some type of loading dock. I think I read online I have to delete a trigger. The controls actually aren't too bad. I was more critical of them at first, but they just don't make sense in what they're trying to accomplish with the remake, if that makes sense. So I think here we actually have to delete a trigger. So we'll go into trigger events and see if we can get this going. Oh, I can actually move that with my mouse. Can I delete it? Okay, so that's what you're gonna do. So how did okay, so I press play. Ah. So we need to delete the wolves. So I lost the dialogue about it being a loading dock, but at least it didn't crash. Is that what the game developers originally thought this section was going to be, a loading dock? If I trigger a wolf and the game crashes, I'm gonna be so mad. Oh yeah, if you have that torch out, she'll do her classic tumble with the R1 button. But if you get rid of the torch, she just kind of does like an Angel of Darkness 180. Shoulder buttons and select. Oh, that's cool. Interesting. That's a cool object they put into the icy waters. It used to be maybe a little river that would run through. Oh, do we have to swing on the pole? I think we do. Okay, so we'll climb onto the pole and then we'll just jump. There we go. And this is like a little save crystal, I think, a little save crystal moment, save game. What happens if I say yes? Let's see what happens. Does the game crash? Surprisingly, it doesn't crash. Good for you, game. Will the bridge break? Didn't break. Is there a bear down there, though? No, just some bad textures. What happens if I jump down? Let's bring you back to the original section. Okay, a little medi-pack. Okay, you have a little door that brings you back here. Hell kit. This one crashed. This is gonna crash, I know it. Oh no, it didn't crash. Good for us. So that's an example. It's more forgiving to how you jump. Oh, we lost the iconic big face, but we do have a large health pack that looks just ripped from the classics. Fire cannot burn her. And we've got these like little dungeons here where maybe the wolves used to hide out. And we're gonna pull the little lever. Okay, so it still has like the flyby cameras. That all still works like the classics. It makes you wonder though just how much of the original code was in Angel of Darkness if they're still using it for the remake of the original years after Angel of Darkness was a big fat flop. So we're gonna just run up this section. The broken tiles still pretty work well. Sorry, if I look up, did they actually implement the skybox, or like someone who used the Tomb Raider level editor? I'm like, I know what they're doing here in this game. So these are like the final doors that one would go through, and you'd jump down here and you just go through. Huh. Caves. You have reached the end of the first level of Tomb Raider 10th Anniversary Edition. All 15 levels of the original game are currently moving towards completion, and this demo provides, I'm guessing, a taste of what the finished product will look and play like. Core design 2006. Press X to return to the main menu. So they were going to offer the Caves level as a demo, I suppose, had they gone through with this version of the game. Interesting. Very interesting. So let's go ahead, I suppose, move on to the next level. Let's do Quaolopec and see what it sounds like. So again, you're just pasting those files in as you want to play them. Continue, please. Oh wow, you can hear. That's what the guns sound like when they shoot. So as we venture deeper into Quaolopec, we're having render issues, which is to be expected, I suppose. Oh, Tomb Raider 1 sounds. Bring on the dinosaurs. There we go. I guess a rolling block was coming for us, but we wouldn't know. So this is Quaolopec. Oh, Tomb Raider 1 sounds. Oh, cool idea. Okay, so those are on rollers, and that's what used to move that. Tomb Raiders. Ooh, even I'm copying those sound effects. Those sound effects aren't from Tomb Raider 1, I don't think. I don't remember those sounds. I'm sure by the time I finish recording this video, someone probably has figured out how to get her guns working. No idea where we are. Got a little lever here. Do a little back jump. Interesting. Ooh, okay. It's charming in that it's a bit antiquated. Eh? That was a glitch, if I've ever seen one. Traps haven't been implemented just yet. Spiky blocks, who are they? Okay, so I pulled that, so I must obviously have to hop down here. Like, she just is like a leaping giant. What happens if I run in these? Can I impale myself? No. Boom. I like the ambient sounds. They're original, they're not from, you know, the classics. Things work apparently when they're not being one-to-one, I think. What's going on here? Guess we'll just... Oh, whoa. That was interesting. There we go. Damn it. So it looks like there was some TNT that maybe you could blow up. Oh, I wonder if we had to blow this up. Oh, we can do something. She's stuck here. There was something we were going to originally be doing with these. Couldn't tell you what, but there was something. Can I grab this? Oh, look at the ski on. All 5 polygons of it. Is this open for us now? Is there a Pierre Depart or a Larson Conway waiting for us? Oh, are they going to keep the original secret here for us? It's weird, it's like the textures are here. Or no, the geometry is there. I am going to load up the Lost Valley. I think it'd be interesting to see what the Lost Valley's like. They have like a little spinning disc from like Tomb Raider Chronicles. Like, it's weirdly antiquated. It's like they never moved on with the times, even though like this was developed 6 years after Chronicles. Isn't it just like, it's fascinating more than anything. Like, I'm not dissing it. Oh. Okay, and then the pressure of the water. It's interesting when there's no sounds, huh? That's funny. I wonder if I can just... So I don't know why I like to break things, but I'm always fascinated. Can I actually just go in behind the waterfall now? Okay, but there was going to be sky. They have a skybox. Let's just quickly swim around and see what this map would have looked like. It's obviously your water bridge that you would have had to draw. This is like some of the platforming you do to get to the cogwheels, which are here. Okay, so they expanded on this concept a bit, but they didn't do too much with it, but it looks a bit better. You can't get to the other side of it though, so it's a bit of a tease, a bit of a cop-out. Unless we can get to it over here. Can we go over? Maybe we can. Let's check it out. So there was always going to be sky. Okay, so there's nothing there, but... Is that a gold bar? No, it's a medipack. Drawbridge. Is there a shotgun waiting for us here? There is. Very cool. And this is obviously like the original section. Oh, look at my character. She died. didn't I? And that's blocked off. Okay, but there's a little path here. Where was this gonna take us to? Interesting. And you would have had some little trinkets. And then this brings you back out to the Lost Valley. Very cool. Now I always said, I did it in my Let's Play, I was like, what was the original purpose for here? Like I never understood what they planned to put here. Like there used to be just some wolves that have a trigger. Okay, they haven't figured it out either. They're like, we'll just put some water draining this way. We'll just climb up here where you see the remains of Indiana Jones. So that's, where's the whip? They got rid of the whip. They're like, we can't have the whip. We might have to sell this game to the company because of Crystal Dynamics. They got the contract for the Tomb Raider games. Oh, this is interesting. Like, their ideas are more interesting than their execution, if that makes sense. No? So they had an idea of a kind of a Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom volcano going on there. Whoa, what's going on with that? And is that a rope we can climb? Why are they floating? So this is where you'd normally get one of your pieces of the cogwheel, which I believe is just inside here. So you get your cogwheel there, wouldn't you? That got an upscale. Oh, can I take as many of these as I want? You can have all the cogwheels. Can she only get out though at 90-degree angles? A design choice? They're like, we're still working on the collision code. Don't know what they were intending for this chunk of the level. Maybe you're gonna climb some of these vines? Oh no. This is your same old usual. This is nice, not bad. Okay, so the bridge was gonna collapse on you there. She do be glitchy. I'm actually more interested in anything else. Let's go up to the volcano. Okay, so you would have leapt up there, jumped up here, done a floating platform, have some clips. The volcano was just more of an aesthetic choice than anything practical, it looks like. There doesn't seem to be just an effect. It's not even rendered. Did I see a little... Did they hide anything interesting in here? Okay, just your shotgun shells. Anything in here? Some shotgun shells. I think that's just like a little place you to hide when you're fighting the dinosaur. They didn't program in. Not bad. It gives you an idea overall of what the Lost Valley would be like. Let's break it. Let's just swim to the very top and drop her down. Boom! She lands safely. Okay, so that's the Lost Valley level. Actually, I really want to see what they were going to do with... Oh no, Sanctuary of the Scion's gone. I really want to see what they were going to do with Sanctuary of the Scion. That was one I was looking forward to the most. Damn it. This is the city of Khamoon. Okay, so this is still very much like Tomb Raider 1. Oh, I do like the outside here, which they didn't do too much with. I mean, just your skybox. I don't even think there is a skybox. I think this is just blue. Okay, can't animate something. Oh, and the game crashed. You're testing my nerve. Got some TNT there. Damn it. This is Natla's mines. Okay, we get it. Interesting. Oh my gosh, we get it. I wonder if the Nazi stuff was just added in for Indiana Jones, or were they going to associate Natla and her evil empire with even more sinister forces? Oh, it's been really awkward to be the graphic designer. I was told they had to make a whole bunch of Nazi art. I'd be like, are you freaking kidding me? I'd be like, please don't. And remember, that's where we're supposed to start. to level off from. Come on, Lara, you can do it. Just climb up. Good for you. Some machinery. Never explained how Natla got all this tech in here. The guys are really creative. I could climb those poles. So we got like a lot of lava here in Natla's mines. And gives you an idea of what's down there. Spooky. Again, interesting ideas. Oh my boy. Oh, I think you were to blow some of that up with dynamite. Where was Lara's guns originally again? They were like... It's really interesting to see how they do level design and what they prioritize. So they're like, okay, we'll put some pickups here and there. I think that's actually fascinating. Some ammunition. Very clunky. But thankfully we got a little lever here. And that was what crashes the game. What were we going to do here, I wonder? Oh, very cool. Fortunately we don't have any sound though, but they have still all the pickups. Wonder how finished this is. Ooh, just crashes like that. Oh, there's like TNT and everything up there. I wonder what the plan was for that. Oh yes, let's see what this level's like. Do any of these levels work? Ooh, the Lost Plateau. This looks the most lively. I see animated birds there. Do we have sound? I think this is probably around the stage of development where they're like, shit, we probably have to remake, or not just remake, we probably have to build new stuff. We can't just copy and paste these maps and just, you know, add more geometry and more polygons, because they're probably trying to do something a bit different here. Okay, well, we got some animated birds. Saw that. Don't know what this is supposed to be. I think it's supposed to be a reference picture. There's some little fireflies. They actually put effort in with their horizon texture. Maybe it's supposed to be just a horizon placeholder for the art department. This is the look and color scheme we're going for the water. This is pretty. This is pretty. It's so bizarrely just like a really good level editor. Are her boobs still triangle? Just really knows that now. What a ridiculous thing to do. Let me just see what we're trying to be doing here. Because if they have the geometry, no, they don't have the geometry, never mind. Like, this is very beautiful. Like, it's beautiful, but it's such low quality. It's like, if they had just spent more time optimizing the PlayStation 1, you almost could feel like that's what you could get from it. You know what this is? This is Core Design's version of the stall units that Crystal Dynamics has. I bet when they pitched to the publisher, to Eidos, this is what they were showing, because they have the animated birds. They were trying to show the best possible presentation they could. And they're trying to show off the potential art style, I think, with this one. That bird keeps triggering. It's funny. The Great Abyss. No sound for the Great Abyss. Now we're just gonna see just a bit of an update to the cistern. We drop down. This is what they're planning for the cistern. Not bad. Like, not bad at all. But again, just very much like a really good level editor. Hope someone can get the guns working. It'd be fun to play around with the guns. It's always bizarre when they're kind of finished but unfinished. Oh, what do we have here? Is that some classic Tomb Raider 1 geometry? I think it might be. So this is like just pulled from Tomb Raider 1. They didn't like touch a thing, like they just were able to paste the map in. It's almost like they kind of automated the process. Like just find and replace. Like you got your traditional ape there, which they haven't even worked on. Oh, those still work. I mean, those are PS1 level. They didn't even get around to making the assets for them yet. And then I suppose when you just drop down here, you go into Tomb of Teotihuacan, or you go into Tomb of Teotihuacan. Like, I don't know if it's possible, but like it really does seem like they were able just to basically like find and like in a text editor, the way in a text editor you can find and replace things. It really does seem like they were able just to find and replace assets. Like they were able to code it that way. Because this is just plain old Tomb Raider 1. Let's have a look at the Netherworld, which I'm sure is probably a play on Atlantis. Okay, so this doesn't work then. Oop, that didn't work. Isn't this St. Francis Folly? Oh wow, it just starts you off. Oh, where are we now? Oh, we're just full on back here at the very beginning of St. Francis Folly. They hadn't even gone around doing the first section of this yet. See, what I'm really more interested in is how these objects that we're picking up work. Like, but they're either able to like find and replace things, or they're legit just using Tomb Raider 1 source code. Because like she can pull those levers, like, you know what I mean? But then you can see here this flip map didn't really do anything. Oh wait, are we actually stuck here? Okay, they hadn't gotten around to doing this yet either. Did they steal assets off of level editors? I feel like you could download that for the level editor years ago. I mean, the cistern or the St. Francis Folly does look cool though. But they don't think they actually had that much of the game finished. This is kind of finished. This is kind of finished. Okay, no, this is not finished. I think they've done anything with this. This looks about right. So this hasn't been done yet. So they haven't done Tor. So they haven't fixed anything with Tor's hammer yet. Interesting camera. Like, do you see the way it's like they were able to find and replace the old cameras that they had? Aren't we missing like one more room? Oh, I'm glad they put that much detail though into the steps. This might have been updated, or it's not textured. I don't see any knives hanging from the sky though. I think I've explored the majority of the levels I kind of found interesting. There are tons more videos on YouTube, I'm sure they're going to be uploaded as I speak, of people discovering other incredible, interesting things, and I think it's just a really fascinating look at game development, if anything else. No matter even if you're not a fan of Tomb Raider, I think it's really fascinating to look and see how a game is made and how the engine works and how the coding works. I think if you're just looking for like positive things, I think now's a great time to leave the video, because I think I'm going to have a little discussion about why I think the publisher, Square Enix or Eidos at the time, chose the Crystal Dynamics version over this one. And I think there's more interesting reasons than what we're just kind of seeing. So I think the primary one is, from what we're aware, both game companies pitched their their idea of the game at the same time. And I think we kind of understand that this is what Core Design pitched to the publisher, but I think you have to understand at the same time that Crystal Dynamics had a style guide that they pitched to the game publisher. They hadn't created any levels, but they had a fully realized game engine that was working, and was working really well because they had just finished Tomb Raider Legend at that point, and as they say in the commentary, they did the style guide or the style bits as kind of a pre-production to show the art department what they can do and what the game can potentially look like. Whereas what we're seeing here is where Core Design had actually done, you know, quite a bit of level design. They reimagined a lot of areas, but they have not worked their game engine out. It's kind of weird that they haven't ironed out their controls yet, even though I am very aware this is an alpha. But after the absolute disaster of Angel of Darkness, when you're pitching to a publisher to make a new game, how can you not walk in the door when you're pitching and be like, we learned our lesson, we learned about bad controls? Because they still haven't figured out what they're doing with the controls here. There's a lot of great moves and again a lot of great potential, but it's like they want to keep her on the grid system, but then she doesn't act like she's on the grid system. It's more forgiving, which is a good thing for, you know, layman players. But at the same time though, it invalidates why she's on the grid system. It's like they're keeping her on the grid system because they just want to copy the level design one-to-one, rather than them just trying to honor the grid system. So because they're not letting, you know, each element be true to itself, the game is a bit weird to control. It feels like one of those really low quality games that really haven't figured out their control scheme, kind of almost like Barbie Adventure, in that she doesn't control like she's on a grid scheme, but maybe she is on a grid scheme, you never know. And that's kind of what I'm getting from here. Because the engine isn't figured out, because they haven't done all the level design, we saw a lot of unfinished areas. I just think that I'm sure if you're a publisher, you're probably worried if they're able to deliver in a year's time, particularly because they weren't able to deliver before on time, even though they were given extensions. And I think you have a new game company that just finished, you know, rebooting your franchise, that probably moves very well, looks incredible, and because their engine and their foundation is solid, all they have to do is build the levels. You know, I think all they really introduced in Tomb Raider Anniversary was the wall one with the grapple, which is like one new move, whereas core design yet again would have to build a new engine from scratch. I think that's probably why the publisher went with the Crystal Dynamics version and not this. Yes, you cannot compare an alpha to a final product that we all eventually played, but you have to think about what did they actually show to the publisher when they walked in the door, because core design probably showed this, whereas Crystal Dynamics probably showed them their style units, and they're like, oh, in terms of how the engine works, play Tomb Raider Legend, it'll play like that. And you know, they fix a lot of issues that reviewers praise. The controls are better. Not that the controls are better, because by the way, I'm a master of the craft of classic Tomb Raider. Like the tank system, like honestly, I could win Guinness Awards with it. That's not what the market back then or even now likes. Like, no one likes the grid system. Modern gamers don't like the grid system. Another thing is the platform that they were targeting. And this isn't unique to Tomb Raider. Resident Evil also made this mistake. When they did their remaster of Resident Evil 1, they made it for the GameCube. Even though no one who had ever played Resident Evil really played it on the GameCube, or on a Nintendo, beside Resident Evil 2 for N64. So for this, you can really tell, even from the visual style, that they were targeting the PSP. And I'm sure when you're in the room and you say, give us money and we'll make a PS2 and a PC version. But again, it's their ambitions of what they were targeting, whereas Crystal Dynamics again went in with the PC and the PS2 version, because they known that at that point that Sony had sold 100 million PS2s and that they probably only sold like 10 million PSPs. And again, I think the PSP itself would have worked better with core design if they made smaller scale levels like the original, like they did the 1-to-1. Whereas I think when you try to scale these PS1 levels up for a PS2 or a PC, I think there's different expectations about how grandiose and how big environments should be, which obviously the ones in Anniversary are. And so the next thing they did was they made a 3D model of Indiana Jones, and they went off to Lucasfilm and tried to sell their game there. And obviously after that they tried to sell it to the people who own the IP for National Treasure. So I mean, for them, it's just a job, so I wouldn't take what I'm saying personally. So it's a business, you know, this is how business works. And unfortunately, it was just a case of 2 pitches, and then, you know, the publisher chose the pitch from Anniversary that was just probably more competitive. I mean, if I was someone who saw this and then saw the style units for Anniversary and saw that the people who did Anniversary had all their together, they had all their engine, you know, together, and that basically we're giving them a year out just to make levels, whereas with this, you know, they have to make an engine and make levels at the same time. It's less risky to go with that version. I think that's why they went with the Crystal Dynamics version. I think the community, when they're going to mod this, are probably going to do a much better job than even what core design will do. or could have done, because the community really knows what they want and they can kind of tailor and individualize it to their own niche and what they like about the franchise. So they can kind of make their own ultimate version. And because they basically have the source code here, they can probably manipulate this any way they want. It's just really fascinating. I mean, I know it's kind of, you know, grass is greener syndrome, but having played this, I do have actually more respect for what Crystal Dynamics pulled off, and I understand why the publisher went in the other direction. And also, by the way, when they were greenlighting this, the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3 was about to be released, and obviously Anniversary did come out for both platforms. You know, can you sell a game, even if they up the fidelity, even if they up the graphics, can they sell a game like this for those platforms back then when nostalgia wasn't big? I think now you'd have a better chance, because obviously we have Crash Bandicoot, we have Spyro, they have been proven now that nostalgia works. But back then, not so much, because I don't think the internet and social and just how fan communities got together was as strong then as it is now. Like back then we really only had community forums, whereas now like we have social networks, we have Twitter, we have hashtags that can get things trending. It's just a very different scene. So unfortunately, you're seeing a product of its time, and you're seeing a product that didn't make it to fruition. And yeah, I'll be interested to see how this develops. But yeah, it's a cool day for a lot of fans who have always wanted to play the Core Design Anniversary Edition. You finally can. You can kind of see what they were going to do with it. This looks like the game that Core Design should have made back in 2000. Instead of Angel of Darkness, they probably should have just made this instead. I think had Core Design made this back in 2000 for a 2003 release, and this was what they were developing for the PS2, I could have saw that. In fact, they probably should have made this game instead of Angel of Darkness. But you know, coulda, woulda, shoulda. Things have changed. A lot has changed. Okay, but thank you guys all so much for watching. If you liked the video, do subscribe. I am going to finish my Tomb Raider 1 Let's Play, and I'll do Tomb Raider 2. And obviously I do other games on this channel too. So do subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay tuned for future uploads. Also, leave a comment below and let me know what you think of the Tomb Raider Anniversary Edition from Core Design. Have you got it to work on your computer? I'm sorry I can't provide technical support. I just followed the instructions and it worked for me. Every computer is different. But obviously if you liked the video, do give it a thumbs up. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.